Hello, everyone. It's Irlianna with StarSound Speaks, StarSound Astrology. So, this full moon, whoa, this full moon, let's talk about this and what we might expect. So, for those of you who are new to the channel, hello, everyone, welcome. My name's Irlianna, and I practice Western tropical astrology, Hellenistic astrology, and I use whole sign houses, and I also blend it with modern, the outer planets. So, anyway, let's talk about this full moon. Really interesting full moon. This full moon, let me pull up the chart here for us, is in 16 degrees of Cancer, as we can see here. Oh no, you can't. Can you not see here? It's Mercury retrograde. Of course you can't see it. It's like, all right, let's try it again. Okay. I hope you can see it. No, it's not showing me that you can see it, but anyway. All right. It's a little, yeah, it's very wonky, but it's part of the wonkiness is part of this very extremely emotional full moon. The full moons are always emotional, right? It's the moon, right? It's our ties, it's our families, it's our memories, it's all of these things. But the moon's in domicile, the moon's in Cancer. So the sun, the new moon, the new beginning in the sign of Capricorn. We go to the opposite sign for the full moon, the completion of what was started on our new moon cycle back on December 23rd, which was about goals and ambition and achievement and structure, goal setting, things like this. Very important time. And then the fruition, the seeds bear fruit. So it's time to do a check-in as we are looking at these topics around goals, around, certainly too with family dynamics and loved ones, because Mercury and Venus both being there now, Mercury retrograde, definitely looking at family dynamics and reflecting and renegotiating, renewing, reflecting on all of these things. But as we get to this full moon, now it is going to be it'll be 6:07 p.m. Eastern time on Friday, January 6th, or the next morning in the Eastern Hemisphere. But it's at 16 degrees of Cancer. So this is definitely this one really speaks to a lot of emotional, what I'm hearing, the two words I'm seeing right now as I speak to you guys is emotional completion. And what do we mean by that? Well, when you think about the moon is always about our past, right? And it's our, our intuitive side. And so the moon in Cancer is very much about nurturing and vulnerability and intimacy, security. What do we need to release? One of the questions we may ask ourselves in this new moon cycle, full moon, which is starting around now, and then will peak on Friday, Saturday, and then, couple of days after that, we'll still be feeling the effects of it. But what we're going to be present to, will be really loud for us, is our vulnerability and our intimacy. And so are we perhaps one question to ask is, as we climb and achieve and set goals for ourselves and look at the very structures of our lives, what are we overlooking? We have to integrate how we feel. Our Cancerian, the Cancerian archetype, the polar opposite. So it's calling that into play to be woven in. So emotional vulnerability and intimacy, comfort, security, what needs to be released? Where are we maybe so harsh and so driven with ourselves and with others that we are not checking in with ourselves? Are we giving ourselves care? Are we freezing out care of ourselves or others? When you think about the qualities of water, Cancer being a cardinal sign, and it's water. And so with water, you think about, well, water can freeze, water can boil over, water can be tepid, it can boil over. So our emotions can boil over in especially during this particular full moon. And but the shadow side of Cancer can also be about emotionally frozen, where we might freeze somebody out, a loved one, or where have we frozen ourselves out with others? Where have we not been emotionally available? Where have we put up walls, and what walls need to come down? And then in terms of self-care, this is a big one for, we just went through the holiday season. There's a lot of go, go, go energy. And this is definitely a time to nurture and reflect, a warm salt bath, perhaps, things Cancerian in nature, maybe, cuddling up with a movie, being a couch potato and cuddling up on the sofa with a little warm fuzzy blanket, or, well, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, a cotton sheet. So, but really just about taking care of ourselves. I want to say too that the moon is actually out of bounds. You can't see it on a chart, but the moon is out of bounds, right? Not only out of bounds, the moon's at extreme out of bounds. I think it's like 26 degrees of declination. Normally, the moon, normally planets are around, in terms of declination, what is it? I'm always forgetting these things. Hold on, let me check this out. I just wrote it down. Where did I write that? Okay, give me a moment here. I'm gonna find it. I know it. Oh, here it is. Okay. A planet begins going out of its normal trajectory along the longitudinal ecliptic path at 23 degrees, 27 minutes. Well, right now, the moon's at like 26 degrees and change. So that's very much, there's actually a term that you don't hear that often called EOOB, extreme out of bounds. So emotions are very high. So one of the things you want to do, what we might expect, is people really being super emotional, very, very sensitive. You and others, expect and give ourselves a lot of room to just feel what we feel. And I would say too, with extreme out of bounds, one of the nice things about the Cancer and the moon is about memory, soul memory. This moon is conjunct Sirius, the fixed star Sirius, which is the brightest star in the heavens. It's at 14 degrees of Cancer, so it's conjunct Sirius, and that's a very fortunate star. Hey, it's the brightest star in heavens, So that could give us a real longing for like our homeland, our home or homeland on Earth. You could say our star family or our celestial origins. We may feel a real pull, feeling like a very emotional and a psychic sensitivity, a pull toward home, or the feeling of home. What is it like to be home? Does that choke you up with emotion? Where are we not at home, right? We look at both sides. How cut off have we been from our family or our true home? These are some of the things we may want to ask ourselves. But with the moon in extreme out of bounds, that can really be, on the good side, it can be, a hugely way more intuitive feel. The feels are way more intuitive and way more psychic, some really deep downloads. This is a great time for quiet reflection after we finish eating those cookies with the velvet throw on the sofa and all. Watch our bellies. Cancer rules the stomach. Okay, I don't know about you. I'm looking at my stomach yesterday. I'm like, oh my God, like what did I do? Drink a gallon of water? And I remembered, duh, here comes the full moon. And so, but really, seriously, in terms of on a more serious, right? No pun intended. On a serious note, the moon is conjunct Sirius, so that does give us this emotional, the emotions going in that direction of from our heart and our soul around family and star family can be really strong and very profound. I will give you a little tip. If you ever watch that movie, and if you haven't, or you haven't seen it in a while, go watch it. It's what was the Dory? Remember Finding Nemo? And then there was the follow-up was Pixar. It was called like Dory or Finding Dory. It was the Dory. It was Dory. The Ellen DeGeneres voice. I'm telling you, that thing. I had a profound experience watching that, and I think it might be cool to maybe homework assignment, right, for this full moon in Cancer, because it was around finding her way home, but there are very deep encodements in these Pixar films. And I won't talk about it at length here. I will just say that I had a very, very direct experience of that, of home and my star home, my celestial home, watching that movie. I actually I didn't fall asleep, but I kind of like zoned out at one point during the movie. And I had this quote dream, and I saw this, it was outrageous. And I know that it was triggered by the movie itself. So you might have the same effect, or it might leave you with just, I don't know. It's just fun. Just go watch it. It's awesome. Finding Dory or whatever. It's been out for many years, but maybe watch, even if you already know the storyline, just watch it again through these eyes. And I think will be even more emotional, because it is, after all, the full moon in Cancer conjunct Sirius. This moon is also opposing Mercury in Capricorn. So there's this need to have serious conversations around families, around maybe the legacies that we want to leave and our family dynamics. And it might be that there could be some painful conversations, but ultimately liberating and just allowing us to feel what we feel. Mercury, of course, being retrograde in Capricorn in that opposition, there could be some misunderstandings and miscommunications around sensitive topics. So just bring more Kleenex to the table, go to Costco, buy the huge box. I mean, I always cry me a river when the moon's in Cancer. Well, now we got the full moon in Cancer, extreme out of bounds, conjunct Sirius, opposing a Mercury retrograde. You get the picture, right? It's like, this one's like really highly charged. Let me see. I would say here's some also what to expect is like maybe this feelings of clinging to the past, hanging on to the past, maybe like hanging on, if you're a mother, hanging on to your children, but not in a healthy way, but like being too emotionally attached to one's children, or a child to our mother. If we have that going on, that might also be very present for us. So I would say about look at where we cling, who clings to us, and who do we cling to, and what do we cling to? Cling to the past, not being present, staying frozen and stuck in the past. Like, in 1991, you blinked your eyes weird and you hurt my feelings. It's like, okay, let's go past that. It's like, it's time, right? The Capricorn, in the Capricorn polarity of Cancer Capricorn, it's time to let go of things where we have been stuck. Say what needs to be said. Maybe there's some fear around, will people freeze me out if I hold them accountable? With Mercury in Capricorn and Capricorn season very strongly speaks to goals and accountability and responsibility. Well, I want to be emotionally vulnerable, but I also want to hold myself accountable, or others, but I don't want to freeze them out. So maybe there's this fear of, will I get frozen out if I say something that's really serious, having a serious tone to my conversation? So these things might come up, but then just being open and honest and holding, our hearts, wearing our hearts on our sleeve, being completely compassionate, and holding space for others as well as ourselves. Really just being easy on ourselves would be really very important at this time. Work-life balance, if we've been working too hard and over the type A overachieving thing, this is like chill time. So we have to really want to be honest with ourselves around, is how much of that is really going on, and to just really hold the most compassion. That's all I really want to say about the full moon. Like, it's always, of course, great with, it might make us very sleepless, with where we need to go to sleep, makes us very supercharged. I know whenever I feel very like awake at night, I'll look at the phase of the moon and I'm like, oh, okay, well, there it is, full moon. So maybe we need to take a lot of valerian tea or chamomile or something to soothe and relax us. Warm salt baths are always fabulous, with a water solution for a watery moon. But in any event, I hope this has helped you get a little bit of a handle on what's to come. The sun is also, today the sun reached perihelion, at like 11:17 a.m. Eastern time. Perihelion is an astronomical term, and it means where the sun is closest to the earth. So apogee perigee refers to the moon being closest, but the sun being closest to the earth is perihelion. The sun being furthest would be aphelion, but the perihelion, with the sun closest to the earth, it has an effect on the new or full moon that is also closest to the earth. That is going to happen, little heads up here, later in the month for our new moon on January, 21st or 22nd in the Eastern time zones. King tides are back. So those are very, very high tides where there's often flooding. So those of you in coastal areas, just to be aware, a little heads up here, extreme high and low tides, very strong gravitational pull. I think, again, I just want to reiterate that this, we've talked today about emotional concerns with our physical bodies, but we also want to think about the body of Mother Earth, because Mother Earth, 70% water, with all of this extreme sensitivity and the moon out of bounds, with a super moon, with a perigee, an upcoming new moon in perigee, there's a lot that could be about weather and flooding. So and again, the polarity, drought, right? Water, no water. So these extremes of weather and but certainly extreme flooding events that could still go on. And Mars just about to turn, is already at his stationary direct point of 8 degrees of Gemini. So we could be seeing more tumults with air, windstorms, and water and flooding. Uranus about to station direct, also very, very close to it, about 2 weeks from now. So when that new moon is happening, it's going to be right at Uranus will be at that stationary direct point. So you can expect a lot of there's just a lot of intense activity going on there with weather in the skies. So little heads up. Anyway, so just the way to handle the drama, coming back to this full moon, the way to handle all that intense emotional drama is to just be kind to ourselves, soothe, stillness, practicing meditation, being in a still, sweet, still space, and holding space for ourselves and others would be it's a really profound, really a way to disengage from conflict and family drama, and focusing on, before we say if you have to speak to somebody you might be in a disagreement with, it would be really most awesome to change our frequency by doing some yoga or qigong or tai chi or some kind of meditative practice or pranayama that will still the mind, so that when we speak, it will come from the highest place. So that's my little chat for today. I hope you enjoyed that. I'd love to hear how you guys are doing. It's always wonderful to hear from you. So yay. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It's really great for the channel, of course. We're so grateful. We have some really wonderful guests coming up again very soon. So yeah, stay tuned. Lots of good stuff coming. All right, my dears. Happy full moon, and I'll see you all soon. Take care now. This is Irlianna Samsara, StarSound Speaks, StarSoundastrology.com. Thank you all for listening. Bye for now.